Hello everybody, welcome to the MaffmanJones movie channel. I am your host, John Maffio Preston Esquire, and today's featured movie is Deadpool 2. It's the sequel to the movie Deadpool. It revolves around Wade Wilson, Ryan Reynolds, who is now happily with Morena Baccarin's character Vanessa, and they're thinking about the future and having kids and, just being a nice, happy family couple. Things go awry, and of course shenanigans start to occur, which forces Deadpool, Wade Wilson, to go back into the mess, and somehow Josh Brolin's Cable, who is a time-traveling robot from the future, comes back from the future to kill this kid who Wade Wilson grows a connection with, and he does not want Cable to kill this kid. So he makes this new derivative X-Men type team called X-Force, including Domino, who is Zazie Beetz from Atlanta, to stop Cable from killing this kid. And of course with that you get all the raunchiness, the cursing, the fourth wall breaking, and the satire of superhero movies that have come out in the past few years. Deadpool 1 is not one of my favorite superhero movies of all time, but I feel like it is for a lot of other people. It really resonated with a lot of people in the box office, and as well as just in the past couple years, people just always bring it up in conversation. I really liked it when I saw it, and I still like it every time I watch it, but I was still, regardless of that, looking forward to the sequel. And the sequel delivered in every way I thought it would, even though it does have its flaws that are more apparent, in my opinion, here than they were in the first movie. The first one had a lesser budget, and it had the drive of passion of fans and Ryan Reynolds behind it. This one has the same idea, but with a bigger budget and more ambitious ideas. But I think with those ambitious ideas come a couple more faults. It doesn't make the movie any less enjoyable, but there are still pretty faulty flaws there. Faulty flaws. The flaws that are faulty. But before I put on my film critic hat for reals, Ryan Reynolds, this was his passion project. He's been wanting to make a Deadpool movie, like a proper Deadpool movie, for the longest time. Over a decade at this point. He got to do it. It was super successful, and now this is his playground. He can do whatever he wants. Given the whole Fox-Disney merger coming up, we don't know what's going to happen after that. For now, this is Ryan Reynolds' baby, and he seems like he's having so much fun, and you can see the glowing nature in his performance that he's just so happy to be there and be able to create a Deadpool movies. And this glowing fondness that he has for this world and this character infects the rest of the cast and the crew too, because you could tell everybody had fun making this movie. Everybody who was involved in front of and behind the camera wanted to do something really fun. And they definitely deliver, because this is a movie that you should see with an audience. This movie is mainly an action movie and a comedy movie, and in both respects, it does pretty much fulfill what it's trying to do. Most of the action is really well choreographed, most of the jokes are well choreographed, and actually work. There are some action sequences where I do feel it becomes a little mundane and redundant, especially towards the end where I was just like, enough already, let's get to the story, because I was actually into the story a lot in this film, and the emotion that was driven behind it in Wade Wilson's character, which I'm not going to spoil here. And the comedy, a lot of the comedy worked for me in here too. A couple jokes that they take from the first movie and they relish on and expand on, and for the most part, it actually works in that respect too. However, I do want to say I feel like a big flaw with this Deadpool movie, especially because they really up the ante on like the fourth wall breaking and talking about other superhero movies. If you're some rookie, some novice who has never seen a superhero movie before, and this is the first movies you're watching, Deadpool 1 and 2, Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool, and other characters reference things from other Marvel movies, other DC movies, that it's all gonna go over your head. All of it. And it's a lot of the really fun jokes come from like the lore, the history of movies and superhero genre. And if you're not getting a lot of those jokes, I feel like it takes away from that experience a little bit. At the core of the story, though, lies a big heart in which Wade Wilson is trying to connect with this kid who was played by Julius Dennison, who was in Hunt for the Wilder People, which is a great movie by Taika Waititi. It'll work for the majority of casual moviegoers, but there's so many toppings on this really delicious cake that I can see people getting lost in that, depending on where your perspective is as a moviegoer. This movie is also more rewarding depending on how knowledgeable you are with movies and comics when it comes to this character and superheroes in general. So it really depends on your personal preference and cup of tea. Now if I had to get critical, moving into what I didn't think worked, the only character that kind of was iffy for me was Julius Dennison, because I liked the idea of this connection that Wade Wilson was trying to make with this kid for reasons I'm not going to give away, but Julius Dennison's portrayal of this character, Fire Fist, at points didn't emotionally work for me, but at the same time, I feel like I could forgive how the characters portrayed on multiple viewings moving forward. I also feel like Deadpool 2 at a point meanders and it kind of slows down to a fault where I was actually kind of getting bored. I liked what was happening with characters, but for some reason, the structure of the story on the first viewing it felt like you were hitting like New York traffic on the BQE and you didn't know how long it was going to last. But once things pick up again, I was okay. And the CGI, which was fairly abundant in this movie, because of action sequences that happen, it makes sense that it was utilized. But in other points, there are a couple moments where the CGI actually looks like it's coming from like a PlayStation 2 video game. Like, it was really noticeably cringeworthy and bad. It's 2018. Come on. Couldn't touch it up a little bit. But overall, Deadpool 2 is a worthy sequel. It's not as tightly structured as the first movie. It does a lot more from a comedy and action perspective. And for the most part, it works. This movie is very fun. It has an emotional core that works. The love story from the first movie carries over, and that also works too. So that'll make a lot of casual moviegoers really enjoy this, despite all the jokes that may go over their head. The movie is a lot more colorful, a lot more wonderfully directed by David Leitch, who is an awesome director and stuntman coordinator. And I'm glad that he's getting a lot of work right now because of John Wick. I guess that's what really made him take off as a director. I'm looking forward to seeing how this does with the moviegoers in the box office, because Deadpool is here to stay, and Ryan Reynolds is a very happy man, again, that he gets to play this character, and hopefully play this character for a long time. But I'm going to give Deadpool 2 a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's a darn good Applebee's meal. If you're a fan of the character Deadpool and you like the first movie, you will definitely like this one. I'm just not sure if you're going to like it more or less than the first one. If you're not a fan of Deadpool, you're walking on a thin line here, I think, but there is a chance you will enjoy the movie for some of the jokes and the emotional heart of the story that actually does work. Now I want to know from all you boys and girls, what do you think of Deadpool 2? Let me know in the comments down below. Let me know if you enjoyed this one more or less than the first, and why. If you enjoyed this review, please like, ring that bell, subscribe to my channel, check out my social medias, and my Stardust down below. Once again, I'm John Matthew, aka MaffmanJones. Thank you so much for watching. If you want, check out my review for Revenge right there, as well as my review for Infinity War right there. And that's it. I'll see you guys next time. Deuces.